everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tech Talks with Nasscom Insights. I'm Sneha, Analyst, Nasscom Insights, and I'll be your host for today. In today's episode, we'll talk about generative AI and security navigating the new threat landscape. The rapid advancement of generative AI presents both powerful opportunities and escalating risks, requiring cybersecurity to adapt to sophisticated AI driven threats. Organizations must prioritize the development of robust security frameworks and proactive strategies to mitigate the potential for malicious use of generative AI in cyber attacks. On behalf of Nasscom Insights, I would like to welcome our three guests. Our first guest, Vishal Gupta. Vishal is the Program Manager and Innovation Ambassador for AI and SDV Cybersecurity at Bosch. He has overall 14 plus years of experience in designing and deploying cybersecurity for critical systems. Prior to Bosch, he was working for security R&D at Indian Navy and developed critical security system for defense sector. Welcome, Vishal.
Thank you very
Our
much.
second, our second guest is Pooja Bhattacharjee. Pooja works for as a project manager for Systems Plus. With close to 10 years of experience within the tech domain, she has worked across multiple industries like finance, FMCG, media, IT services, which has given her opportunities for work in process consulting and process design. Welcome, Pooja.
Thank you, Sneha.
Our third guest is Priya Kanduri. Priya is the Vice President of Global Delivery and Capability Center for Capgemini, CIS business in India. In her current role, she is responsible for customer satisfaction and quality for all cybersecurity services and projects delivered from India. Welcome, Priya.
Thank you, Neha. Hi.
With introductions in place, viewers, let's get this session rolling. Our first question is to Vishal. We've seen rapid evolution from rule based systems to sophisticated machine learning models in cybersecurity. Now, generative AI is pushing the boundaries, further enabling for more nuanced threat detection and responses. However, this also introduces new attack vectors. So, from your perspective, how is the fundamental nature of cyber attacks changing in the rise of generative AI? And what are the most critical emerging attacks patterns we should be aware of?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Nasscom Sneha, for introducing me and be making me part of this particular webinar. Absolutely, the question which you are mentioning, basically the evolution from our rule-based basically system, we are just moving towards the machine learning, obviously has been transformed the cyber security as such the topic, right? However, as soon as the advent of Gen AI has been come up, surely these cyber threats is becoming more and more complex and sophisticated, right? So first we have to understand basically like uh, Gen AI is just not a tool, right? Which can be just used as a defense. The Gen AI can be utilized as a three multiple, I will say, different strategies. Let's say first, it can be utilized as a protector or a defender, right? Second, it could be also utilized as a predator, right? It can be weaponized, right? And third, AI itself is a victim or a prey. So that's what is first of all my perspective. And once we'll talk about, let's say, what are the most critical, let's attack, which is basically coming from this AI perspective, is first thing that we have to understand that Gen AI is kind of automatic and is killing the lot of phishing attacks, right? So phishing is the most critical, which we have to really understand from the perspective of, because it is more kind of personalizing, more convincing as in phishing attacks which they are coming of utilization of the neural network language networking and all, right? So overall the point is it is very difficult to even detect and predict with respect to the existing legacy system which we are having, right? So for example, if I'll talk about from the automotive perspective, now as we know the automotive is moving towards software defined vehicle, and it is more, I will say, towards a kind of mobile phone on the car, right? So people are basically expecting the features on demand, right? They want to install and reinstall all the feature on the fly. The problem is there's a possibility any malicious attacker can quickly send you a rogue SMS or an email or kind of message on your phone, which will just kind of alarming and telling please update the software, otherwise you're going to have an accident, right? And if quickly you are clicking on those kind of rogue emails, you may be basically going to install a rogue software, which is kind of very much safety critical for you, right? Another perspective is, as I mentioned, like AI is going to be a prey, right? A lot of AI model itself is getting data poison, it's kind of model invasion, right? So those is also a perspective. Let's say specifically when we talk about one example where Tesla was having this particular feature to detect the speedometer, right? Speed meter board, and just a hacker basically stick a small tape which was actually reflecting from 60 to 80 and it got accident. So you have to understand like anybody can easily basically do some kind of data poisoning too. And the third more I will say, which is currently heavily is getting evolved everywhere, is a deep fake, right? Deep fake is something like every industry, specifically when we call about the finance, right? Finance utilizing at least when we come up a couple of customers, they ask like, can we have some kind of really appropriate deepfake measures, right? Because people are trying to utilize kind of deepfake technology to come up with a different kind of identification theft, right? So I'm utilizing your Aadhaar card, but it's still like kind of it's just reflecting my photo and complete verification can be done, something like that, right? And the final one, if I talked about it, is even nowadays adversary attackers, right? They are utilizing the AI to generate the malware, which is like more advanced to bypass any kind of techniques. Specifically, when you talk about a black mamba, there's one attack happened which is utilizing AI to basically generate a polymorphic basically malware, right? Which can be regenerated signatures and key based on the time, right? As you improve your detection, can again regenerate, so it's very hard to detect, right? So overall, this is my thought on how AI is basically getting immersed the cybersecurity threat landscape. And we should like understand from all the perspective that we have to come up with a complete regulatory framework, which we talked about, that how I should use the AI as a protector, and also how to protect from the predators, and also develop a safe and ethical AI systems. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Vishal. I think that was very well explained, and it's a good start to our webinar. It is time to get Priya into this conversation and talk about the service providers. Priya, the security service providers are rapidly expanding their generative AI offerings from AI-powered threat intelligence to automated incident responses. What are your thoughts on these new offerings? Given the growth is exciting, but how can we ensure these solutions are truly effective and not just AI washing?
That's a very good question, something that industry and most of the organizations have been contemplating for the past 2 years since the onset of Gen AI, in terms of how you don't want to be left behind in the race. Gen AI is everywhere. Everybody wants to employ the use cases, get ahead of attackers, enhance their cyber detection capabilities, and enhance the incident response capabilities. So you don't want to be left behind. You want to get into the race, but then also not just employ Gen AI for the sake of employing Gen AI. What are the real use cases for my organization? For what's the need of the hour, and how effectively utilize the same or employ the same, because it also doesn't come cheap. It's expensive, right from the infrastructure that's required to the tools that are required to the expertise that is required. So it's a question that organizations have been contemplating, and it can be broken into solvable pieces of the puzzle. Gen AI tools and LLMs definitely can be utilized to enhance cyber threat intelligence, and they can be used to gather more insights in terms of vulnerabilities, attack patterns, potential attack signs, and they can also be used effectively in terms of when there is an incident, for a faster cyber incident response and acceleration of the incident resolution process. They can be utilized to analyze large volumes of data, log files, network traffic data. So a quicker and accurate resolution can be quickly arrived. These are some of the larger areas, and then service providers as well as the OEMs have made a lot of progress in terms of employing Gen AI for accurate and faster detection as well as resolution of incidents. And the detailed use cases may vary. I have personally seen a lot of impact or use of Gen AI in specific use cases. For example, and it mostly concentrates around use cases where you require, I mean, the work that's involved is very manually intrinsic. So that kind of sets the fatigue, and people can make mistakes. And if we can take the fatigue out, if we can take the manual laborious work out of security incident response, etc., that's one area to focus for organizations if they have to identify and zero in on the use cases that they want to implement. And the other area, of course, is where it is really, really difficult to find skills. Activities that are still very manual, and manual skills are expensive, are not very easy to find. These are two areas to definitely focus on from a cybersecurity perspective. Some of the examples can be Gen AI assisted audits, or when auditors have to look at a lot of documents. And for larger organizations, it can go to the order of thousands of documents that have to be verified before an audit control is passed. Gen AI can definitely be employed there to look at the relevance of the document, relevance of the control versus the evidence that's provided, and remove the documents that are not relevant. Definitely improve the accuracy, reduce the manual fatigue there, and also fast track the overall time it takes. And that's one effective use case. Security Copilot is again a very effective use case where the security analyst can get additional assistance while analyzing incidents and qualifying incidents. Threat hunting is another use case, Gen AI assisted threat hunting, because threat hunting, keeping the automated automated incident detection, there's still a lot of work that we have to do manually for threat hunting. And Gen AI tools, Gen AI algorithms can definitely provide a lot of assistance for better and faster manual threat hunting work that happens today. Same is the case with Gen AI assisted anti-phishing campaigns. They can definitely do a lot more in terms of keeping it very close to the phishing behavior, in terms of analyzing the email content, analyzing senders' behavior, analyzing phishing patterns. These are used to generate better campaigns, and also used as deceptive to detect the attacks and safeguarding the individuals, etc. And there are also use cases in terms of synthetic malware creation, synthetic personal PII data creation. So, organizations' security can be enhanced, cybersecurity controls can be enhanced. It is also a great use case for secure coding principles to be implemented, training. These are 7 or 8 really effective use cases that I have come across or implemented. And largely organizations are focusing on, and these use cases will probably become de facto standards by the end of 2025, probably for all organizations where Gen AI models will be implemented.
Thanks, Priya. I think those were very, valid points made. And as a part of the Security in the Age of Generative AI report we released last year in November, we conducted a survey, and we found that threat hunting was one of the most used, services from the service providers, and it was also most demanded service by the end user organizations. So yeah, thanks, Priya. Yeah. Going to Pooja, my next question is for you. The current cybersecurity landscape is a complex mix of legacy systems and cutting-edge AI-driven solutions. Organizations are struggling currently to integrate these technologies effectively, and generative AI promises to automate many security tasks, but integration challenges still remain. So, what, according to you, are the biggest hurdles organizations face when integrating generative AI into their existing security infrastructure, and how can they overcome these challenges?
Thank you, Sneha, for that question. So coming from a background wherein I'm dealing with processes and adaptability of processes, right? The biggest hurdle that organizations face in terms of integrating their legacy system with Gen AI is the mindset, right? People are very hesitant to change. And when we talk about amalgamation of two systems, which is your legacy system and then Gen AI, there's a lot of things that will change eventually, right? You have to learn about certain aspects and how Gen AI works and all of that, right? And legacy systems, they have a certain way of working. You already have been using the systems for such a long time. You're aware of, how it works, what is your infrastructure, all of that, right? So the biggest challenge is the mindset of actually adapting Gen AI and bringing it or integrating it with your legacy systems. Having said that, the legacy systems, like I mentioned, they have a certain way of working. They have a certain infrastructure. So they have certain sort of data formats, right, which are not compatible with Gen AI systems, which are quite up to date. So the hassle of actually making sure that your data formats are supportable or to enhance your data formats so that it is acceptable by the Gen AI tools is where another challenge lies, right? Then we have AI, the compliance piece of it, right? Wherein we don't know if your AI data flows are actually going to work for the legacy systems or in support with the legacy systems. Then we have resources, the lack of resources, which means the infrastructure piece of it, of course, but also the skill set, right? Because if you go around the market and if you're talking to organization experts, I'm sure the skill set of Gen AI integration with legacy systems or people who are capable of doing that, that is a very niche talent, right? And not many people are really familiar or are up to that kind of a role. So that is one another thing that I think is a challenge in terms of bringing Gen AI with your legacy systems because the talent is niche. But having said that, I think uh, it is also the mix of all of these together, right? Skill set, you can still find it out in the market because Gen AI is one of the growing markets, right? It's the technology is extremely high end and people are really every sector, I think each and every sector in the market is actually moving towards Gen AI. Some way or the other, we might not know it at this point of time that we are actually using Gen AI, but we are, right? In ways that we don't even know about it. And then we have the lack of AI governance, right? So what happens is AI, as we know, right, it's a huge trend. And with that, there's a lot of risk that comes into the picture as well. There are a lot of attacks that we hear about every now and then there are ransomware attacks, all of these things. So people are a little hesitant, right? If they really want to go ahead with Gen AI or not. But the thing that we need to understand is the compliance or the governance part of it, right? The governance part, which speaks that, okay, you need to know what your threats are, where actually you're stepping into, right? You need to know that system very well in order to know what risks are coming in front of you and how you mitigate it, right? You need to hold audits the way you have it for all your other systems in place. And you should know the threats, like I mentioned, what are the risks, what are the threats that you're dealing in. Once we know all of these and we start treating Gen AI as any other software product that your organization is using, I think that's where the integration of legacy systems and Gen AI would become really comfortable because you would know your enemies, right? What is it that you're dealing with? So yes, that's those are some of the key parameters seen.
Thanks, Pooja. Great points made there. With this, we come to the end of episode 1 of our discussion. Our conversation with Vishal, Pooja, and Priya will continue. So stay tuned for episode 2 of this discussion. Till then, like, share, and comment on this video. And don't forget to subscribe to Nasscom Insights YouTube channel. We'll be back shortly.